This could be it. The end. Nope, not today. He steps up, swings, and it's over. Ladies and gentlemen, you have just witnessed the end of wood season. It is over. Okay. So welcome back to Spray River Homestead. Alright, so we're having a little bit of fun with splitting wood. And well, the reason of it is we had to do something this year that we didn't really want to do. And that's we had to buy firewood. So let me explain the background of how we had to do this before we get into updates this week of what's been going on. We had a big car project for Nikki's mom. And it involved her Chevy Avalanche being wrapped completely in vinyl, plus detailing all the plastics, doing the tires and everything else. That unfortunately took a lot longer than expected, and that's a little bit on me that I kind of over-promised on the amount of work and the amount of time, and in there we've had a massive amount of issues inside of that project. So for that, what that ended up being is that we didn't get our firewood cut off our property, nor did we bring it back over and split. So we had 2 cords of rounds delivered, and in 8 days we managed to split it up, which is now what's behind us. So you got 2 bins behind us that are full. That one is full completely over there. This one you can see is full pretty much almost to the top. You got a little bit left in there, and then we also could stack in the front. Anything that really didn't fit or stack well is over in what we call the 3rd bin, and it's basically just a cast off. We just chuck it in there and pull it out as we need to.
And that's stuff that, like, if you're familiar with juniper at all, you know it's got a million different limbs and knots in it. It never splits good enough to stack. It's always gnarly stuff. So we just throw that into the extra bin, into a big pile, and Kanan uses it first.
So with that, firewood season for us is done. It is now, what, mid-December? Call it mid-December?
Mid-December.
So we will probably run our 3rd bin out until Christmas, somewhere in there, towards the end of the month. Get back in this with 3 to 4 months of winter, if you call it that, where we continue to burn wood up until somewhere in April. Yeah, we should be great shape for firewood this year and have some to carry over for next year.
The nice thing is, even though we didn't get our own done, we still have plenty of trees down on the rest of our property. And if you've seen any of the videos from earlier this year, we've got that huge pile of oak limbs that my dad brought us. So we should be really ahead of the game for firewood next year, but unfortunately fell a little bit short this year.
Now the cool thing with that is some of the money that we got from the car project, we were able to actually reinvest that and kind of trade that for the firewood to another local set of homesteaders that were out to get the firewood. So kind of cool, a little bit of barter economy there. We converted our time into cash. That cash converted into firewood for somebody else. So that was a cool thing. Now with that done, let's show you what else we've been up to.
Alright, so in our last update, we talked about that I was getting ready to go to a rabbit show in Eugene in mid-November. And I did, had a great time with all of my bunny buddies, and had one show planned for December in Red Bluff, and did not get to go. On the way home from the Eugene show, I actually took a little time, went all the way up to Vancouver, Washington, and got to attend the first birthday party of my cousin's little girl. My mom's from a big family, so my cousins are very spread out. I've got cousins who are 50, and I've got cousins in their 20s. And so my cousin Sam's in her late 20s, had her first daughter, so I went up there for the birthday party, drove almost all the way back home, got to just outside Oak Ridge, Oregon, and had just finished talking to him on the phone. It was dark, and went around a corner, and all of a sudden I got the battery light, and my voltage dropped, and my headlights dimmed. And if you know anything about driving Highway 58 in Oregon, on the way up to Oak Ridge, it's very curvy. There's not a whole lot of places to pull off. I called him back, said, what do you think? He said, check your battery terminals. So I got over to the side of the road, got it opened. Battery cables were all tight, so we figured alternator. So I was about 20 miles outside of Oak Ridge. I was able to limp her on in, get it turned off. It was a Sunday night, so they had a hotel room. So I spent the night in Oak Ridge, and the next day, I had to be rescued.
So after the panic call, the discussion about what was going on with her truck, what I ended up doing Monday morning was I got up, ran into town, and there are two options for alternators for the Chevy Suburban. One is a lower amperage, one is a higher amperage. My guess was that it's going to be the lower amperage because she doesn't have a ton of equipment on here. There's no upgraded stereos. This is kind of a, I would say, the stripper Suburban, basically. It's not a lot of options, not a lot of there. So I was going to grab the lower amperage one. Now, being that it was a 3-hour drive to go up there to her, and they had no auto parts stores available there, I went ahead and bought both. And I knew I was going to take one back, just didn't know which one. So what I ended up doing is going to get parts. I came back here to the house, so it's 45 minutes into town. Got there at 7:30, got back here almost to 8:30 by buying parts. I grabbed our trailer because I knew that if this thing started, I could throw it on the trailer and we could get it home if somehow we couldn't repair it. So I got here, got the trailer, drove 3 hours up there. 15 minutes later, had her alternator changed, truck fired up immediately, everything was back to normal. We turned around, came right back home. So that was about a 8-hour day, something like that, just to get her home, which was unexpected, but the truck is here, has been running great, and, well, we'll keep her going for this point.
I'll also mention here that before he came up to get me, he discovered that one of the tires on his Suburban is low, which is kind of odd, and we weren't sure what was going on with that. And that's only important because that's going to come back to bite us later. So from there, everything seemed okay. Thanksgiving came around. Naturally, following the bunny show and all the drama, I come down with a nasty, nasty head cold. Felt fine other than just phlegm and just congested. My brother and his family actually came down from Redmond, so we had the first big family get-together in quite some time, so that was nice. The boys are all getting so big. Our nephews are, of course, graduated or GED'd. We have one in high school, one in junior high, and one who is in first grade, I believe.
I think first grade now.
So, yeah, we have quite the gamut. My brother's kids are kind of spread out, so good to see them. Had a nice time. We got some rain and snow on Thanksgiving. It didn't really stick around, but it was kind of a wet holiday. And from there, rolled into Black Friday, and we were working on Mom's car.
So to give you guys an idea, I'm going to give you a little bit of walk around of the truck. It's about a minute long, but I'll just kind of step through. So the truck itself is a 2004, right?
Yeah.
2004 Chevy Avalanche. And it is a lot of plastic, I'll just say that. But she had it, it was a kind of a dark blue previously, and she wanted something that changed color. Now, if you've ever gone to my car channel, you know that I have a Mustang I've rebuilt from the ground up. It is vinyl wrapped also, and it changes color from a green to a gold to a kind of a root beer to purple. So she saw that, and then she said, I really would love my truck to do that. We found a material she liked, and it took us, well, we had 18 days to initially do the work, and it ended up taking us 22. So as you walk around the truck, you can kind of see the color change. As you walk down the truck and look at it, you'll see it change from turquoise to a blue to a purple, and it really depends, because it's so glossy, depends on what's behind it or next to it. It'll reflect different colors. You can get a gold, you can get different things. So
Black. It's
black.
turned all kinds of colors. Turquoise.
It is really cool to see in person. I mean, the video will show you how awesome it is. The color change, and where we are, vinyl wrap like this really isn't used at all. So, you know, it's crazy, but she loved it, and we got it done, and, you know, we'll see what comes up next. But that's 2 vehicles we've done in this color change film, and Nikki's going to get her Suburban done next year for some rabbit stuff, which will show you kind of, I don't know, we may show you the whole project, we may show you the end, doesn't matter, but it'll be cool.
So while we're working on the vinyl wrap project, if you remember from last winter, we had my dad's trailer or tractor here because it has a 6-foot snowblower on it. So Dad brings it. This is part of, my parents' snowbird. So this is part of what we get for keeping an eye on their house. They bring the tractor down here with the plow or the snowblower so that in the event that we get a lot of snow, we can get out. If you've been watching the temperatures at all in the Pacific Northwest, whether or not we were actually going to get any snow, I mean, we've had a couple inches this year. It's probably few and far between. But we have also had years where we didn't get much snow and we got a foot to 2 feet overnight. So it is something we'd like to have here. But while we're working on the vinyl wrap, we get word from my dad, who had been having some trouble getting the tractor to operate, that it went into the shop. So by the time a week after Thanksgiving rolled around, my parents were getting ready to go out of town. They came, picked up their truck, and tractor's not back yet. So this has been an ongoing thing, waiting. I just now, and keep in mind this is the end of November, we've been waiting to hear word. We just heard yesterday that the parts are finally in, and that maybe we'll get it in another week or so. Not a big deal. Well, temperatures are in their 40s right now. We've been getting more rain than we have actual snow, but it is something I want to get done and get over with, just so I don't have to fool with it. So yeah, that's been another ongoing thing, is waiting for the tractor to come back.
All right, so after that, you're thinking everything else should be good, right? Well, not really. So we had a few days of kind of crummy weather that we didn't really charge enough on our solar. So we ended up having to run our generator. Now, I have mentioned in the past that I do all the maintenance on everything, or I'll say most of the maintenance. On the generator, I change the oil and filter every year. I've never had to change the fuel filter. I've never had to change the air filter. And we've been running, what, 5 years? 4 years?
Yeah.
Something like that.
About 4.
Okay. So, here's the foreshadowing. I've never changed this stuff, and the generator starts running really, really bad.
We couldn't get the output right. It sounded a little off, but the output was so low that when the inverters would try and stack onto it, it would drop the voltage so low that the inverters would just throw us an error code and we couldn't get it to charge. Because it has to be at, what, 108, 110?
Like 108 volts.
Yeah. So what it would do is it would cruise along right there, and as soon as how the inverters work is they actually load it up before it'll actually let it, start accepting the charge. So the inverters would load up the generator, and it would instantly drop to like 80. And so there wasn't any power going out. We couldn't figure it out. We dicked around with it, couldn't figure it out. Finally, I found the manual, which we finally got, last year from my dad, because of course the generator came to us second hand, or third hand, I guess, because Dad bought it used. Found the manual, went through it, and I tell him it's either an air problem or it's a fuel problem. So he pulled the air filter off. That didn't really help. He took the fuel filter off, and
well, let's just say it was black. It should be like a bright pink.
It was sludge.
It was sludge. So we ran it basically without a filter very, very briefly just to prove to ourselves that if the filter was there or the filter was good, it would run. So with the filter taken out, we ran it very, very, like 10-15 seconds just to make sure it would go, and the filter was it. So went into our local Kubota dealer, because it's a small Kubota 2-cycle engine. Not a 2-cycle, a diesel, but it's a small engine, a Kubota brand. Going to the dealer there, they can't really help on it, but I was able to just pull out my phone, basically, hit some Google, find some part numbers. The guy went into the back immediately, pulled out the 2 things I needed. So, fresh fuel filter, fresh air filter, it was about $18 in parts. Got it home, swapped those out in 15 minutes maybe.
And it's working golden.
And we were back to go. So, lesson learned on me, that I need to change the air filter and the fuel filter more than once in 5 years. Not a problem. We'll add that to the maintenance every year and just keep up on it. And it's relatively cheap maintenance and doesn't get you into the back of the problem.
And it was a good reminder that most people don't think about it, but fuel cans also need to be cleaned out periodically. We run ours with 2 lines coming from the generator, an input and an output, into a diesel can. And once all this happened, I started kind of looking around in the bottom of the diesel can, and yeah, there's some crap in there. So as we run the diesel kind of low, it's probably time to empty those things out and clean them. You know, it's just going to be that much better for the fuel filters.
Yep, makes it easy. All right, so you're thinking, why are they standing in front of the truck? All right, so Nikki mentioned that the tractor is kind of the payment for watching her parents' place, and we take care of one of their dogs that really doesn't like to travel very well, older puppy dog, and we take care of him here. So we said that they had to be back at the end of March, early April, because Game of Thrones is on. And now it's the final season. If you guys are into Game of Thrones, you know this is going to be epic, massive. You can't miss an episode. So we said, we don't have TV service. They do. They had to be back in time for Game of Thrones.
So my dad found a way around this. If you have Dish Network, which is what they have, you probably already know that right now HBO isn't even on Dish Network. But Dad is pretty confident that they will iron it out. They probably will. I mean, who wants to give up the ending season of Game of Thrones? So in their last RV, they got a new one this year. In their old RV, they had what's called the Wally.
The Wally.
And the Hopper deal, which is a mobile satellite dish. If you can kind of see the little round dome on top of the truck, this is what Mom and Dad brought down to us before they left. And basically, the way things were working out in their new RV is the campground that they're staying at, they can actually get temporary cable service down there. So Dad didn't need it. If you've had Dish or DirecTV, you know that if you're on contract, you're on contract, so you've got to keep paying for it. So what they did, while they're paying for their service for 5 months anyway, they rolled it over to that baby and brought it to us. Now, when we'll ever see my parents again, I really don't know. Obviously, it's not going to be by the 1st of April because they did that in anticipation of not being home for the beginning of Game of Thrones. So, we are making the adjustment to having TV. We don't really watch a lot of it. I think the first night we must have scanned through every channel about 12 times looking for anything to actually watch. So it's not getting used a whole lot. I spent the first week trying to get it to work. If you've ever seen pictures of how our house sits in here, we have these beautiful pine trees to the south of us. And if you know anything about Dish, you're supposed to point at the southern sky. So we tried and tried and tried, could not get it. Hence, the truck backed up. The way these things are made, they're a tabletop unit, so you can't mount it on the house, and you can't put it on the roof because it'll just slide right off. So in an effort to get it up high enough, we backed the pickup in and put it up there, twist it around. Sure enough, it works. So it's kind of our redneck solution, but it's only temporary because eventually they will come home. If for no other reason than it just gets too darn hot down in Arizona for them to stay all year.
Okay, so as Nikki mentioned, my truck had a leaking tire. Now I think I picked up something either on my trip to Vegas and back where it lodged in there but only allowed a little bit of air out. So if you notice, behind us there's only one Suburban here. My truck, the blue Suburban, is not here. We ended up deciding that we are going to put some fix-a-flat in the tire that was leaking because it's taken like a week to kind of go out, so I was like, it's really not enough that I feel like I need to take it into the tire shop to have them dismount it, put a patch in and all that stuff. So came out the other night and put in some fix-a-flat into it. Everything was good to go. Went to start my truck. Really didn't want to start.
Really didn't want to start. Did get it started up. It was definitely a fuel issue. Wasn't an electrical issue or anything else. It was definitely a fuel issue. So I'm thinking it's going to be a fuel filter that needs to be changed. And here's the fun part about it.
in order to drive the truck to her parents to be able to cycle the Fix-A-Flat in there, we took it over there one night, and we took both Suburbans just in case mine was having an issue. Well, it had an issue. So it's been parked over there this week. There are actually 2 fuel filters for the truck, so I had anticipated this where I was going to change them eventually. I bought 2 of the same one because the website that I bought them from, or the company, said there's only one available. You only need one. Well, guess what? Mine is not the one. It's the other, the limited one you really don't ever really need. It's like 10% of use of millions. Well, there you go. So we went over there. I got the right part bought. Went over there to fix it. Realized I had the wrong tools. When we got there, guess what? My tire was completely flat.
Like on the ground in 2 days. It had been taking a week to go flat. This was completely on the ground. So then he decides to go ahead and change it because we didn't have a compressor with. And this is where we also discover that none of the tools in his Suburban will actually work to change the tire on it.
Yeah, I'm missing a piece. A strategic piece that is the absolute requirement to get the spare out. So, thank goodness I went to Vegas and back, 800 miles each way, that I had 0 issues, because if I had an issue, well, I'd be bumming rides.
The funny part of this is the fact that when we first got my Suburban, it was probably 2 or 3 months after we got it, we were at Home Depot and I got a low tire. And this is where we discovered that I didn't have any of the tools in my Suburban for it. So this is a good point to always make sure you have actual tire equipment with. At this point, we got lucky that day. My dad was actually down there. So we used Dad's tools to get the spare out for my Suburban then, and we had ordered a new set for my truck. So we're over there at my parents' house to deal with his tire. Well, luckily I had a kit. So as soon as we can get his truck home and operational, we will be ordering him a new kit so that he can actually change a tire, which would be handy.
So anyway, I've gone over there, today will be the 3rd try I've tried to change this fuel
Yes.
filter. So I had the wrong part, then I didn't have the right tools. Is that right?
Well, the first time we just went to get the tire up to limp it home. Then we went over there and found out you had the wrong part. Then you had the wrong tool. So today will actually be attempt number 4 to bring the truck home.
So the tire's changed. I will say that. Tire's changed. It's aired up. Of course, it was boogered flat. I swear to goodness. It's been a tough week with my Suburban. I'm not in love with it today. So try 4. I've got the right tools. I've got the right part. I've got a good tire on it. It is cold and wet, and I'm going to go lay in that and get dumped on gasoline. But I am so hopeful that my truck comes home today. It's been a tough week.
Alright, so on top of this, you might be wondering why this has prevented us from getting videos up. Well, that's because our computer died too. So right before I left for the rabbit show back in the middle of November, on that Friday, I printed a bunch of pedigrees and some information for some rabbits that I had sold, shut the computer down, left. That evening, I get a message from him that says, it won't start. So he says, it's coming up and doing this really psycho flashy thing. He sent me some videos of it. And I said, it's having some kind of reboot problem. The computer's only like 6.5 years old, which I know in these tech days is practically a dinosaur. So I tell him Saturday, just go ahead and let it run for a couple hours and see if it'll boot. Because it's done this to me one other time. Not to the degree it was doing it to him. Yeah, no, that didn't work. So once I got home, after the alternator and all the other issues, I got home, loaded it all up, can't make it run. I can get it to run in safe mode, so not all is lost. Tried and tried a whole bunch of different fixes, couldn't get it to work. So, Black Friday, we bought a computer. So I ordered it from Staples on a good deal. It took... they said it'd be here in 3 days. It took, a week and a half?
Yep.
We finally get it home and realize we don't have enough disks and USB drives and all that to back everything up, to move everything over. So that was another trip to town to go get some flash drives. Finally got all that done, and as of last night, I think I finally have enough of it fixed, uploaded, updated, moved over, that keep your fingers crossed, we will actually be back and operational.
So I'll say the last thing of kind of what's been going on. If you notice, it is very quiet, and we don't have a goat screaming. So I had a goat that I raised from literally a newborn baby. I helped nurse and get all along, and he was going to be our Nigerian buck this year, and I guess it would be the second year we used him. I went out one morning, and he was on his side halfway into the feeder, really bloated, and he had passed away.
So I'm not real sure what happened. He's been treated for parasites. I checked his gums and eyes and all that. It wasn't parasites. He's eating the same feed as everybody else, so we kind of ruled out bloat. What I think happened is the boys were scuffling in the feeder, and I think he took a hit, and I don't know exactly what happened that caused him to expire, but basically he passed away. Kind of threw our breeding plans for a little bit of a loop for this year for my Nigerian dwarf herd, because if you've been following around with us, you know, I bought a purebred Nigerian dwarf this spring who also died. And this is really odd. We don't lose animals. So we've lost 2 pretty important goats this year. And all is not lost. What we'll end up doing, because we only have 1 kinder doe to breed to our buck this year, we're going to go ahead and breed our Nigerian dwarf does to our kinder buck. It means making mutts, but out here, most the homesteaders out here will buy them just because they're just really looking for milk production. Kinders have a good milk production, as do Nigerians, so it'll be okay. But it's been a sad deal. Pavlov, though we both scorned him most of the time, he was our baby. We did raise him from just a little thing. He thought Kanan was mama for a long time, and was a super sweet guy, super stinky, one of the stinkiest bucks we've ever had, and a fairly destructive fella, but really a good sweetheart. He never was aggressive to us in any way, and so it was kind of a sad deal to lose him. So, yeah, rest in peace, Pavlov. You're missed. So beyond that, we are still dealing with Super Champ, the climbing LGD dog. We're looking at hot wire fences probably over the top of the fence. She is currently on lockdown in the barn with the goats because she has suddenly decided in the last couple of weeks that she doesn't want to listen to Kanan at all, and me only marginally. So she developed this new habit of anytime we got out of eyesight to go over the fence and do whatever Champy wanted to do. So as we've mentioned before, LGD's super, super, super bullheaded. This one seems to be even more bullheaded than the ones we've had in the past. So we're going to be doing some fence work. It's kind of hard to keep a dog of that size in when they have a mind to go, but we're going to be looking at a couple different things. And as I work with her, I'm going to try and document it so other people can learn from it, because LGDs take a special little bit of training. They really do.
So now she said she's been patiently working with her. Champy jumps a 50-inch or a 48-inch fence?
48-inch fence.
She jumps a 48-inch fence, hurdles it, doesn't touch it, from 2 steps.
Yeah.
She is like the Michael Jordan at the free throw line. She can take a couple steps and clear that fence, no problem.
And is a climber like we've never seen. She got out of the barn here, last week?
Yeah,
last week. We'd had her in the barn on lockdown. You know, I had changed some stuff around, and everything is 7 and 8 feet tall in the barn. And that had been working. Well, somehow she managed to go up a 48-inch panel, up the next little 30-inch panel, get on top of the 2x6 and the 4x4 posts that are up there, and hurdle over the 7.5-foot wall. We think onto the hay bales, and then over the 5-foot fence, and came running right down to the house to show us how proud she was that she got out. So there are currently panels all the way to the roof line, which is about 11, 12 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So far we have her in. Thank God she doesn't dig. So, yeah, it's been exciting. She's an interesting dog. Not the first climber we've ever had, but she takes it to a degree I have never seen in an LGD ever. And we've had 6. So she is, she's quite the dog. Quite the dog.
All right, so that is why we've been so busy, and I don't know if it's karma, I don't know if we've been bad children or what, but we are the land of the misfit toys the last 3 weeks to a month. But we are going to end this video on a positive. So Nikki is going to go show you something very cool, and we will end it here. But thanks for watching, guys. If you're new to the channel and you subscribed recently, check out all of our old stuff. We've documented everything for almost the last 2.5 years.
Yeah, pretty close.
About the last 2.5 years, and we have plenty more to go, obviously. So remember, homesteading is a lifestyle. It is not a destination, and it's always going to be an evolution.
And there are lots of cool stuff coming up. I've had a lot of people asking for very specific things in the rabbits, so we've got some rabbit videos coming up. I'm going to be starting seeds here very soon. We've got some stuff. I've mentioned this in the last update video where I made some videos on some canning stuff and some preserving that was on the computer before it crashed, so we will be getting that out to you. Lots of good stuff to come.
All right, guys, so thanks for watching from Sprague Homestead. Nikki's got a secret, so stick around. We'll see you next time.
Okay, so now that my show season is over, that means I am in high gear for breeding for my spring shows. And basically what this means in the Harlequin barn is almost every doe either has babies or is expecting babies. So I'm going to go by cage and kind of show you a little bit of the fun excitement that we've got going on around here. There's Kaylee and some of her babies. And then Girlie's got some babies that are just coming out, and I'm really excited about some of these. You can kind of see those black Japanese. They're at that super fun age where they're just coming out of the nest boxes. And then there are some babies out of Regan. And hopefully, I know it's kind of dark in there. Oh, I know it's super dark in there and they're moving around, which really isn't helping. There are some babies out of Miss Zora. This is our newest litter that came yesterday out of Miss Maid Marian. I don't want to get too far in there because it's super, super cold, but this is a first time doe and she's got like 10 or 11. It's a huge, huge litter. Looks like I've got some decent markings in there. I'm super excited. Hopefully these guys will be on my show tables this spring. These adorable little monsters are out of Airy. Her name is Out of Thin Air. So that's Airy kind of hopping around in the background there. These guys are also at that super fun age where they're about 2.5 weeks old. Really excited about the markings on some of these guys. Some of them, even the not great marked ones, they're just super fun at this age. And because I can't miss out on my Magpie Harlequins too, this is a litter out of Olive. She's a doe that came to me from a girlfriend of mine. So these guys are mostly blues. I think I've got 1 or 2 lilacs in there. Just at a super good age. And then Ducky's got some babies down there. She's got a mixed litter. She's got Magpie and Japanese. And then some of my older kids here are getting to that age where they're just about to wean and make some decisions, and some of them are, unfortunately, as usual, going to head off to the meat pen. And there's Serenity and some of her babies. So despite what has been a really rough month, we have lots of good stuff going on. The rabbits are doing really, really well right now. We're getting really good breeding rates, which is super awesome considering some of my girls are really getting kind of up there. A lot of my girls are 2.5, 3, 4 years old, which for a breeding doe is actually pretty good. they're my babies, so I kind of get attached and they don't leave. So, that's about it that's going on from here, and we will be getting our goats ready to breed here very soon. So 5 months from now, goat babies. That'll be the next big thing. So that's it from Sprague River Homestead. Happy homesteading, and we'll see y'all next time.